It's time to make a shamrock clicky fidget, so let's get cracking. Once again, to keep it zippy, we're going to start with a template. Please type bit.ly/HLMTDL to get to the digital library. Real quickly, let me show you the limitations. These simply mean that I don't allow you to make a copy, download, print, or email lists. That's all that is. If this is your first time seeing the HLModTech library, what I'm trying to do here is take all of my 5,000 YouTube videos and put them in an organized fashion so it's easier for you to find what you need. We've got categories and then you've got the videos. They are almost all with bit.lys, so if you're trying to explain it to somebody, you can simply tell them to go to bit.ly/clickyfid to find all the clicky fidgets. I've got them broke up into levels. There's level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5, which is just getting started. Today, I need you to simply bounce to level 4. Under free files, you can find the brand new Clicky Shamrock template. Once again, click it and bang, you'll be at the free design. Of course, I'm making this tutorial right now. It is set to copy and tinker, so don't forget the golden rule of Tinkercad. Give a reaction before you copy and tinker. When you use this technique, you get an exact copy of my project. There will be notes over here mentioning things after the tutorial's made. It also comes with the Cali keyholes. We need this because once again, we're making a clicky fidget. There is a version 1 and there is a version 2. I am not sure which I like most yet. I'm going to start over here by changing the name. Instead of Shamrock Template, I'm going to change it to Shamrock Fidget. Once we click down here, it is immediately saved. This is simply a shamrock that we are going to trace. You can bring in an SVG of any shape you want. I like to set mine close to 60 by 60. And then we simply grab the sketch tool and drop it in the center. If we zoom out, we can now see our part we want to trace. Now, if you've never used Sketch before, don't forget to check out the Sketch features. They are full of all sorts of amazing details that will make your work in Sketch easier. When you're done checking these out, you can simply hit the X to close it. If you prefer my tutorials, I've got a playlist right here. You can check it out at your leisure. So let me teach you how to sketch really quick. We're going to move down here and switch to a 0.1 nudge, and then we're just going to get close to how this shape looks. You do not have to be perfect. I will show you how to make it a little faster. If you hit number 2, I'm going to pick inside the shape. I'm not on the edges, I'm just inside. And then go about halfway up the curve. Since we hit number 2, we can click the mouse, hold, and twist. And you just want it to follow that design. Notice this one I can get close. I'm going to click right here. Once again, you can hold and twist. And I'm going to get it as close as I can. To turn back in this quarter, notice that has a bend. When you hit number 1, then your next line is going to be straight. So I'm going to go straight up this angle just a little bit. Now I'm going to press number 2, and once again I'm going to go partially around the curve, click, hold, twist, and stretch. Now if you keep these perpendicular, they end up being a little more smooth. Check that out. Click, hold, and twist, and click, hold, and twist. This one I'm going to leave bad, or if you don't like it, you can hit backspace. Once again, that bend was not right, so I'm going to just follow the line by hitting number 1, making a straight piece, and then the next time I hit 2, I can bend it just the way I want. I don't want to do that. That was a mistake, but I can just hit backspace on the keyboard to get rid of that last point. I want to stop right here. Once again, number 2, click, hold, twist to get a bit of the angle right, and then I'm going to go back the other way. I'm going to adjust this point later. I don't care that it's not perfect. Panning is done by pushing in your scroll wheel. Once again, middle of the curve, click, hold, and twist. Click, hold, and twist. I'm going to leave that bend funny, and I'm just going to go here. I'm going to show you how we're going to edit that in a minute. Click, hold, and twist. Hit number 1 because I really want to turn this way. And I'm going to make this straight, and then I'm going to do 2 for a curve, click, hold, and twist. And then I don't want this stem to be this long. I'm going to go to the middle, in the middle, click, hold, and twist. Click, hold, and twist. Make that curve, click, hold, and twist. And just continue all the way around my shape. click, hold, and twist, and click and finish. I'm gonna leave it goofy. As soon as I'm done, I can double click. Now I can click on these points individually and adjust them. This is super slick. Like say right here, I want to get rid of this. I can hit number 4 and get rid of that one. I can get rid of that one. I'm going to keep those. So I've gotten rid of most of my doubles. I'll even get rid of this one. Now you've got to hit V or you'll keep deleting points. You don't want to do that. I'm going to take this corner right here that has a smooth curve. See how these are connected? I'm going to hit number 3 so that way they're broken. That way I can adjust this one and I can adjust this one. I can also grab this point, move it where I want, and you can make this look exactly the way you want. Now you do not have to match the original shape. We're going to have our own custom one, so it actually goes away in a minute. You just want to get it so that you think it looks pretty cool. Notice if these dimensions are ever in your way, you can simply close them. And I'm going to try and just move this out close to that edge where it was before. Grab the point. Notice these are connected. If you don't want them connected, you can hit number 3 to switch it. If you keep them connected, the design ends up being smoother. I don't want this to be connected, so I'm going to hit number 3, and that way I can bend that one up and that one up, so it does exactly what I want. Of course, you can fiddle as much as you want. I'm just going to get it to right here. When you're happy, and I promise you don't have to be perfect, hit Finish Sketch. Just so it looks a little cooler, let's make it green. And I'm going to take this one and just get rid of it. Bang! We have got a fun shamrock. If you've got a part that bugs you, like maybe there's that little bump there, you can adjust it. I'm going to leave mine. I am going to adjust this spot right here, though. I want this to come up close to the same spot, so I'm just going to grab those two, and I'm going to drag it up there. Finish sketch, let's double check it. Yeah, that is exactly what I want. So to make this a clicky fidget, the first thing we need to do is set this to 12. Then we can bring this part over. I'm going to select them both. L for align, make the shamrock the boss, and I need that part to come to the top. And I'm going to choose center, and I'm going to choose center. I'm going to click on that piece. Let's set our nudge back to 1. And I'm going to nudge it up right in there so that it's in the center of the shamrock. Now I want this to print a little faster, so let me show you some tricks. We're going to double click on our shamrock. And when I double click in here, I'm going to just bring this point out so that we've got more meat on our shamrock. Notice I do need to turn that so it spins the way I want. I can come out here and I can tweak that. And then I'm going to grab all 4 of these and I'm going to use the arrow keys to nudge them down. So notice now we have a lot more room for the fidget. When I hit Finish Sketch, I can now click on this and do Alt-Shift, and I can shrink it so we can get it down to a much faster printing part. I'm going to use my arrow keys to nudge that back so I'm sure it is in. Once again, don't forget we have to set that height to 12. And here is where all the work of tracing gets amazing. Click on your shamrock. Do Control D, edit the sketch. Click on the part and we're going to change it to a stroke. Set it to 1.2. That's what I like to use. If you've got a different number, you can. Notice right now that's going to be on the inside. You can click right here and immediately make it on the outside. I do want these corners, instead of sharp, to be round. When we hit Finish Sketch, check it out. You have just built the walls for your fidget. Set them to 17 and press enter. Now we're going to use all of this to make the top of our fidget. Control D, Shift nudge. We're going to click on this one and we're going to hide it for a minute. We're going to click on this one and we're going to set it to either 4 if we use this or 5 if we use this one. I'm going to choose 5 today and press enter. And then we need to align this hole exactly with this one. So I'm going to Shift select, L for align, click on the big key, choose center, center, and we want that hole to be to the bottom. Now if we look underneath, there is our hole, I'm going to click the shamrock, then I'm going to click the big hole, and I'm going to delete it. Bang! That part is perfectly lined up. Now when we do show all, we can bring back this wall. Now here's where the wall gets amazing. Make it a hole. And notice right now it's on the outside of the shape. If we choose Edit Sketch, we can now click on this, go to the stroke settings, and we can set it to center. Notice now it is going to trim away. Instead of 1.2, I'm going to tell you to choose 1. Click outside, finish the sketch. Notice it follows that shape perfectly. If you grab it all and do Control G to group, you have just made this a little thinner so it'll sit in here perfect, and the hole is ready to be cut in. Let's grab these parts and do Control G to group as well. I'm going to move these a little closer. Let's grab the two of them and choose to export. Once again, it's the two shapes as in STL. I'm going to save them in my 3D modeling folder. It has already got the name, and I can simply save the changes. Of course, now we can bounce to Bamboo Studio. I'm going to create a brand new project. Let's add that file. Once again, in my 3D modeling folder, there is the Shamrock Fidget. Once I click open, I am going to switch it to the color green. Notice it does have an error. I'm going to simply hit repair. I've also just skipped these before. Most often it works out just fine. And I'm going to use the 0.2 standard settings, and let's slice plate. And check it out, in under 30 minutes, we are going to have an awesome Shamrock Fidget. How cool is that? Of course, there's the green in the AMS and the Bamboo Labs P1S, and bang. Fun little fidget parts. Of course, a quick reminder, this works with the Kali keys. Make sure you check out the link in the description. Grab the base. There's a little hooked edge. Line that up with the hooked edge on the key and simply snap it in. Make sure you got it pressed all the way down. Then you can grab your top and boom, push it right in. Once again, because of that cool subtraction we did, a perfect fit clicky fidget. How cool is that? The technique also works with all kinds of boxes, light boxes, whatever you want to make. All right, so as I wrap up, I just want to highlight, you could do some of this with the SVG skills. I did it that way a long time ago, but you can't trim it for the perfect fit. That center line trick is absolutely magical. Yes, you got to take time to actually trace your item, but once you do, you've got so much power. You can make fidgets, you can make boxes, you can make lids. You've got that power because you can change those strokes to make whatever you want. I absolutely love the skill, and I think it's one of the coolest things you can have as a Tinkercad designer. And of course, since you're making these fidgets, you can sell them. Do remember though, if you use copyrighted material, that could get you in trouble. Friends, as I wrap up, I do want to say thank you to everybody that supports me via YouTube memberships. Don't forget there are 3 different levels of support starting as low as $5 a month. With any level of support, you get early access to videos. Also, a massive shout out to everybody that supports me via Patreon. Love how that group is growing. We're way past 400 members. It has a fantastic messaging area, and you can learn more with the bit.ly up above or the link in the description. Of course, thank you for watching. Don't forget, every time you like, hype, share a video, add a comment down below or click subscribe. You're helping HLModTech get just a little bit bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day and keep tinkering.